And we're back. In case anyone thinks I was being an ignorant prick cutting them off at the end, I just didn't want Oisin coming out with a brilliant quote like he normally does, and us not having enough time to
Don't,
finish.
don't encourage me, man.
I knew you were going to say something insightful, so I was there thinking I want to make sure you have enough time to get it across.
Yeah,
That went
just
really
about.
well.
That was mad. Yeah,
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 you did
very
really
good.
well. You squeezed it in. I was impressed. Another 40 now, so let's see what we can come up with in this. I
All
was,
right.
I was going to kind of ask you because I think you described mania pretty well for anyone who was wondering. I think a lot of people can relate to depression, but then they hear mania and they kind of think, oh, yeah, that sounds amazing. It's like the best drug trip in my life. But you've just said like it can be, it's probably more dangerous than depression because with depression, you're so
It
withdrawn.
is because like from in like I keep saying this like in my own experience in my opinion or whatever that like so that it's very important to say that because like
Yeah,
not one not like two like every person every individual experiences things in different ways and that includes mental health,
yeah,
mania, psychosis, depression, like just anxiety, all that sort of stuff, like, but yeah, like it's just it's mad, like, like I think that like mainly, yeah, like if I could like somehow secrete the whatever it is that may like where I don't know anything about like how like it's like dopamine or whatever like that that's coming out. Like I wouldn't claim to know anything about that. I'm not very educated on the subject, but from how I felt while it was happening, it was like it was amazing. But then the only problem is if you're manic or close to psychosis as well, um, as soon as you don't have your freedom, as in like what going on about do you can do loads of things straight. You just have to go off and like it's like an open world game, like where you're doing all the side quests
yeah,
and like it's like that sort of buzz, like like where you just like everything's a mission and that you're going off and things on a tangent and like just like there's no rhyme nor reason. It seems to be but you seem to be connecting dots that aren't there, and some people actually respond to it like weirdly in a good way, or most people will be like, "What is going on with this? That like, is he on something?"
mm,
And that's what happened a lot of times. And I got myself into situations. I got into a bit of trouble a few times, like where I was like talking to complete strangers and I'm just saying not necessarily inappropriate things, but like just being like, off my head, like
yeah,
on just a natural high. But to be fair though, and it's not actually a natural high. Like I drug induced psychosis. Each time I went to hospital, it was a drug induced psychosis. But I accept that I have bipolar.
yeah,
Like, and it's
yeah.
taken me a very long time. When I first heard that word, like that diagnosis, I was like, "Oh, what does this mean? Like, am I ever going to be me again?" But like, it's been the makings of me, to be honest. Even though I've had like like one step forward, a million steps back every time I was admitted to hospital. Um, I feel that I've learned each time a little bit of something like that. Maybe I didn't have the cop on to figure it out for like so long, but I'm in a stage now where like what I mean? Like I'm off to drinking drugs a year and a half now,
Yeah,
if not longer.
which is
I'm
great.
trying to quit smoking, but like that's a big ask because
Hmm.
it's so therapeutic. Like when you have it,
Yeah,
like, and like I know it's very dangerous for you, like it's not good for you, obviously, but like try telling that to someone who's in hospital and like they don't have a lot of visitors.
yeah,
So
that's the
yeah.
thing. Like when you've got time on your hands, also got you those duty-free Camel lights, which went down a treat, didn't they?
Oh, you had to bring that up.
Yeah, I know, I know. He wasn't expecting me to, but I thought I can't not get them. They're right in front of me here, and they're tax-free, so I gotta get them.
I smoked them in record time, man.
Yeah, geez, you
Record
did.
time. Yeah, I my lungs will never forgive me.
Nice. I want to talk about actually in this part was something that we can both connect to, which is rugby. But I'm going to touch on that in a second because just want to
Mm.
touch on the different types of bipolar. So you're type one, so that would be with full blown mania, and then obviously you get
Yeah.
hypomania as well. But then we've got type two, which would be kind of just hypomania but more severe depression. Did you ever hear of cyclothymia as well? Stephen Fry has that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Really?
it's
What is that?
kind of less severe, like kind of hypomania, but it's interchanging. Like you alternate a lot more between hypomania and depression. So the
Whoa.
intervals are a lot shorter. You know what I mean?
Oh God, that sounds awful.
Yeah, yeah. It's just mad.
But
But obviously, like with type one, that would be the full blown manic episodes, like what you're describing.
yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't know a lot about type 2 now, to be honest. I'm not
Yeah,
very, see, that's my problem. Even on medication, I know, I say 70% of my meds, I know what they do basically, but then the rest of them is like, I'll just take them.
yeah,
As long as they're
yeah,
reducing it, as long as they're reducing it every once in a while. And like my doctor told me, right, like he goes, oh, and I was like, oh, here, I need to come off my meds, but gradually, over the
yeah,
next year or two. And he's like, oh, and then he just goes, Oisin, you'll be on meds for the next 10 years. And then a nurse told me then that, Oisin, you're going to be on these for life. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that.
yeah.
But
That's the
I'm never
thing.
going to go cold turkey. I'm never going to go cold turkey. Like, absolutely
No,
not. I know where that leads. That goes down the rabbit hole, like.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. It's hard finding that balance, though, because I was going to touch on that with you. Um, what has medication been like for you? Obviously, SSRIs were something you were given that didn't work. Treat the bipolar.
No, antidepressants largely didn't affect, like, didn't like, apparently, like, well, there's one what they called meds for depression, that can make people feel even worse for the first 4 weeks of taking it.
Yeah,
I think, and then like there's actually a lovely song by a band I love called Block Party, and I'm pretty sure the song's called SRXT, and it's an abbreviated name, uh, for a name of a drug that, like, it's really sad, the song, but it's really,
mm,
at the same, the way it builds and builds and builds. The lyrics are beautiful, and it's really like, but it's about a guy who's like ending his own life, like. But
yeah, yeah,
he's made a decision, and but like he admits to having felt a lot of good memories, but like it's a fight that never ends. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. And
yeah,
I'm not like
yeah,
condoning anything, but like what I'll say about, like, people either people, like, it's not brave, but it's not weak. It's just desperation. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's the only way I see it anyway. Because I felt like I was. Like I told my brother, like when I was in, well, so me and my parents moved to Wexford in 2021, and in Christmas 2021, I spent Christmas with my brother and me, my parents at home. It was lovely. But then I don't remember saying this to my brother, but we went out for a smoke, and he asked me how I was doing, and then I told him that, like, oh, not well. Like, I have no memory of this. He told me this after I got out of hospital the last time, so only like last year in 2023, he
yeah,
told me this. And he said, like, so how are you? He's like, I'm shy. Like, it's like I've been suicidal every day for the past 3 years, and it was true.
mm,
Anyone who know, like, a lot of people don't think I'm very quiet, like, and you know me, like,
yeah,
I could talk till the cows come home. You know what I mean? About a lot of things. I talk shy about it. I'm not an expert on anything. I just know a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? And I always get it wrong in conversations, like, and then, but I'm the first person to, like, go, oh yeah, that was wrong. Now I can learn from that. You know what I mean? Like, trying to adapt
Well,
as opposed to being
I wouldn't
defensive
say
or
it.
anything like that.
Yeah, you kind of have a really good insight. Like, I think it's more if you're passionate about something, you'll be able to tell me a lot about it, and that's kind of like me in a way. Like, so I see that as a good thing, you know. And I also think
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
just for tips, like for anyone who might have a bipolar friend or whatever going on, like when you were telling me some things that happened to you, it's easy to kind of go, "Oh, this lad's tapped," you know what I mean? Not to be bad or anything. I think
Hmm.
it's really derogatory when people say that they kind of turn away, and I'm kind of
Ah, yeah.
thinking, you're explaining it to me. This is what you went through, and you're trying to get yourself better. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not you. Like you said it yourself, you were violent, and that was never you. And you'd really good patience by the sounds of it. So for you to flip and
Yeah,
be violent. There's obviously something that's changing your personality in a way. You know what I mean? So it's not
yeah,
fair to judge
and
someone and
yeah,
go, they're not savable.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like, but it's just one of those things, like about I don't know, like I see if you going back to the drug, the meds, I there has to be an alternative. Like, there has to be.
Yeah,
There's
because it's a
treatments
lot
all
of
around the
meds.
world, and
A lot.
yeah, like I take ten meds a night, 4 in the morning, and then I have an injection once a month,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like I'm a zombie, but like somehow my not to sound very hippy dippy like or whatever like that, but no, my soul is intact.
Mm.
As in, I'm not a lost soul anymore. I found my rhythm. I found my like where I need to be, where I live in Wexford with my family and friends, and I get to hang out with you guys from Compassion Focus Therapy
And that's
and
been a godsend for all of us, I think, like that we can relate to each other.
yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know, it
It's
has.
just it's such a relaxing like environment to be in, like around people who might be having a bad day
Mm.
themselves, but then like you can just relate to stuff. And like I was saying before, like it's like we might not be going through the situation might be um we might not be going through the same situation, but the feelings are the same. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's with Isabel as well. I was hoping to get her on for an interview. She's obviously busy at the
Hmm.
moment. That was by the way,
Yeah.
guys, one of our friends from CFT, great girl. And also like just to point out, and I said it in a video when I first heard about borderline personality disorder, I had this whole idea that how bad they were and they were bad people, which isn't fair. And then I met her. And now, weirdly enough, I've gone into a psychiatrist myself who said I've got some traits. And I would have never told her that had I not met Isabel, So it's like
Yeah,
meeting
there
you
there you
guys
go.
has
Like
helped me to open
just
up a lot
you have to
more.
be open to you have to be open to finding new connections, and you have to like
Exactly.
like fuck it sometimes. Like just make a connection, like as like just it could be a randomer, like but then if they ask you, like for example, like I always get asked what you do, and I'm like, unemployed,
I
sponging
know,
off
I
the
know.
state, whatever, like all that sort of stuff. So I'm like, do you know what? Like I just say honestly, I just go in the past year, like I was in hospital there for 6 months, and I've been recovering ever since. And that's that. And but I've a plan in place that I want to like. I don't want to rest on my laurels, like of where I am at. But I think it's important to note that you can't like just because someone's unemployed, like you can't just like write them off. And that's why
No.
dating apps, I think, are just ridiculous. It's all about like
Yeah, it
what
is.
people are looking for, parents' ambition and all of that. I can understand that absolutely, but it's like there's more like you can connect to someone and it doesn't matter. It's just about like it really annoys me like that. Like it's all a bit like shallow.
It is
You know what I mean?
100%
Like
like,
just because a person's unemployed now or not in college or doesn't have a degree or anything like that doesn't make them like less of a being. Like, it's like this like capitalist nightmare that we live in. Like it's just all about consume, 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 and then like pitting one person against the next. Oh, what they have the latest runners, or they have the PS5, or they have this that. Like I need to have that. I need to. It's like it's a competition. Like it was never meant to be like this. Like it was meant
no.
to be communities. Like tribes, like people working together, and it's all become very individualistic. And absolutely, I'm all for like being an individual, like as in like having your own experience and your own take, and like likes, wants, like dislikes, all that sort of stuff. Like, but
Yeah,
it's
we're all
just
different.
everything. Yeah, we're all different, and we just have to embrace it. Like, what I mean? Because like it only makes us stronger. Like, and I know it sounds very. Like but like I don't claim to know much about anything, but like what I do know is that like in my opinion, is that uh that like it's hard to explain, but like it's like I had when I was in hospital in Phoenix Care Center, I had uh like a spiritual death.
Mm.
Like and like people would ask me what does that mean? And it's like, well, like it happened like 3 or 4 times when I was in seclusion because I had nothing in the room but myself and I was hallucinating and or I fell asleep or I was boat or whatever. There was literally I was going through a tunnel, just complete. like black, like it comes, I could barely see. I was just going up and up and up, and there was a pinprick of light. I get in there, and there's like a white room, like a padded cell, but no doors, no windows, or anything like that. And there was a pulsing thought, like an impression left on my brain by something. It was saying stuff like, "It's okay. It's only the start. It's only the beginning." And it's like, and it happened a few times. And like, and then ever since I came out of hospital, I got over the paranoia and the depression and all of that for the most part. It's like I feel at peace with myself, you know. And it's like I'm not saying I believe in God necessarily or gods or whatever. Like it's just I just feel like lighter based on my experience. So what I'm trying to say is like all those times I was in the hospital like that, I'm like what I was saying, going back to what I said before, like is that I learned so much about myself. That I do have like I have ambition. I have discipline. I have like I'm starting a new routine. I'm starting a new course soon next week,
Yeah,
and
congrats. We're talking about it
thanks,
the other
man.
day, and we were saying it,
Yeah, I'm
and
looking
good
forward
stuff.
to it. Well, yeah, like it's just you know what I mean. Like it's yeah, it's like there's me going off in a bit of a romantic again.
Oh, it's grand. It's grand. No, like fair play on when we were talking about what we were going to discuss in this video, I know that was something you wanted to bring up, and I think it's a really good point that you make. I could certainly relate to it because you do feel like, yeah, you're sponging off the state, but then both of us were talking, we've both worked since a young age. Like I remember working, to make my own money when I was 15 in school.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
always worked, did 4 years of college. That nearly killed me. Like it put me in such bad health. And when you're just holding out for something because you know your mental illness is getting the hold of you, and you're like, once I get to the end of
yeah,
this, everything will be easier. And it's kind of like, yeah, okay, well, the hard work isn't done yet. You still have to apply for jobs. You have to sell yourself, because the competition are out there and they're more impressive than you, basically. And then you do
yeah,
really well in an interview. Like I had a job interview and I just kind of thought to myself, that couldn't have gone any better. I was delighted with it, but you just don't get the job. And you're like, well, did I just waste 4 years of my life? So it's like you're not after sitting on your arse doing nothing. You have tried, but it does get harder, gets on top of you after a while, especially with a mental
absolutely.
illness.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah,
it's so debilitating. Like
for sure.
it can't I can't stress that enough. Like it is a disability.
Yeah,
But
100%.
then in ways in Western society it's a disability, but there's plenty of like either older civilizations or other like cultures and tribes or like ethnicities around the world, like shamans and druids and like all like sort of like like Buddhist monks, like just sort of like meditate and all like that, and it's like there's different forms of being like that. There's people like in other cultures around the world, people who see things like say if you're having mania, it's like psychosis, we call it like in the West. Um, um, it's they're revered by their tribes because
Yeah,
they see to the other side. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember there's a really good video on YouTube. It's a TED Talk. It's called Psychosis or Spiritual Awakening. I'd recommend to watch it. It's eye
yeah,
opening and it's actually fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
the
like it's
thing.
good
It's
to
how you
know.
view
Like,
it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a good recommendation. So for anyone who wants to check it out, I think I might have even seen that before. I was checking out, when you go down a rabbit hole, the TED Talks, and you just watch one video
yeah,
after the other. I do that all the time, but it's an
yeah,
interesting point. Like, I
yeah,
remember just for myself hearing about autism before. It's like, is it a disability or is it just how neurotypical people rule the world? So it's kind of like I have a different way of
yeah.
working that doesn't fit into that mold, if that makes sense. And that's why the likes of you or me would appear disabled because we just work in a different way. That's not the
Yeah,
majority.
and it works and like it's like I think it's actually a gift. And at the end of the day, I said
Yeah,
disability just there, like, but I'm a bit of a hypocrite by saying it. But like it's like it's duality, like you know what I mean. Like in terms of it can be a disability, yeah, because it affects you on a deep level like that. But then at the same time, like you're become a better person because of it. But
Yeah,
like, it's only through accepting that what you're going through is, look, I'm going through a shit time. There seems to be no like no horizon and like insight at all. Like it's it's just it's essentially like you just have to like my parents have been putting pressure on me to like get back working or doing a course or that like for ages, and finally I've got accepted to this course. I'm delighted with it,
yeah,
but like for a long time I needed to rest. I needed to not don't have that many responsibilities, but a lot of my family would be like very supportive, but then others would be like, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that," and all like that, and that's fair enough. Like, but like they don't understand what it's like, and but then like if you get into an argument with people, it's like, "Oh, but you were unwell, and you got unwell because you took drugs and drink and all like that," and
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
"But like I'm not the only one. Like people do this." Like all around the world, like it's like, and it's not justifying it, but like it's just saying, like I said before, it was all like drinking drugs. It was like here I had fun times. I'm not gonna lie, but I had bad, like a good few bad times, and it's no longer works for me because I've realized that I can never take drugs ever again, and I'm at peace with that because I don't feel like I'm missing out.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, as you say, people do take drugs and they never develop bipolar or schizophrenia. You've heard about like weed can
Yeah.
trigger a psychotic episode, and that's the thing. Like,
Mm.
I was kind of wanted to just touch on sport because like we've all played a sport, and I guess it's a way of
Oh,
kind of
absolutely,
when you're
absolutely.
mentally ill, I guess you can feel a bit soft at times, and the men in your family can sometimes be very critical and not sympathetic towards you. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
Mm.
like what I was like growing up, where my dad was my football coach as well, so kind of wanted to
Oh,
impress
no
him.
pressure.
Yeah, and you're just there thinking to yourself, Dad, please, like I'm trying to impress you, but also shut the fuck up. It's and then playing rugby every week. We've all played rugby, so that's something we definitely will touch on. Because I made a whole video on that, and it's like what you're talking about. There were very good times to it, and I guess it gave me an outlet in school where I wasn't, using that kind of negative energy, kind of dysphoric sort of
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
You can actually use it on the pitch because, like, if you're pissed off, you can take it out on the opposition, or you can have a good game. And I guess it's just I was playing it for the wrong reasons. Like thinking if someone said, "Oh, Dan's really good at rugby," that I had to show that person how good I was. It wasn't just enough for someone to tell somebody that I was good at it. I felt that need to go out on the pitch every week and prove to them. And I wasn't really enjoying it. What I was enjoying was the going out drinking afterwards. I'm sure you can relate because like rugby is known for the session and lots of drinking
Oh yeah,
afterwards.
like rugby, like in like not to be bad to my dad, like but like I was very bookish, nerdy as a
Yeah,
kid, and I went to that special course in DCU, the CTYI course for talented youth in Ireland. By the
yeah,
way, an
yeah,
amazing thing to do if you're if like for children, like I think it's like from the age of 9 to 14 or 15 or whatever. Like, and it was like if it was like college for kids. I did
yeah,
like philosophy, archaeology, Japanese, Russian, creative writing, stuff like that. Like it was incredible. Like, but I got slagged by that from my brothers going, "Oh, you
yeah,
go to Saturday school," and I was like, and then like my dad, I never really related with my dad a lot growing up because he did give me a bit of a hard time. But like, look here, I'm not singling him out, like
yeah,
because like he was just he was in his own way trying to look out for me, like but being a bit of tough love, like. And then,
yeah,
but when I started playing rugby, he loved that. He like, and then like we got to a final when I was 17. We lost, but like I had like a rare, amazing game.
And that
Like
was
it's
some
just
memory
everything
of
went.
your
Yeah,
your cousin that you were telling us about earlier. Remember in 2007, you were talking about your
yeah,
cousin,
yeah.
and it was a great way to honor her memory as well.
Oh,
You
absolutely,
going out for
yeah.
that
And it
game,
was, and
yeah,
it was very special. Yeah. And I just remember like, yeah, rugby was. I think nothing beats skills rugby for me. Like at
yeah,
least, I
yeah,
think I loved it. We didn't have the best team, but we were a strong squad, and like, and just there was a lot of good players in our team. Like going all the way through the 6 years and secondary skill, and yeah. But madly enough, I prefer playing rugby than watching it
mm,
because like I loved tackling. I loved.
not many
I,
would
I
say
loved and like
that.
and but I didn't get confident enough attacking wise until I was like 17. or like yeah, 17. That was when I started getting confident attacking, and it was a bit too late really. And then I kept getting injuries, and I played for a club for a little while, two clubs for a little while, and it didn't work out. And I have a lot of regrets about that, to be honest, because I love the sense of team, like being part of a team,
Yeah,
and yes, there's like drinking culture around. I didn't experience too much of it because at schools, like you wouldn't see too much of it unless there's actually one time, right? I know this is besides the point. It's not really helpful, like, but anyway, one day we were playing it was sixth year, right? And we were playing a team. I can't remember who it was. And one of the lads like ran like 40 meters a forward, like scored a try. And then like he smelled like in the change room, the smell of alcohol from like he'd been out drinking the night before. And I'm like, and
yeah,
then he was getting he scored a try and everyone was like, this is what a deadly try. I'm not running out to great like
yeah.
amazing man. Then you just get sick everywhere. Like,
Oh,
but yeah,
I
but
wasn't
I know
able
that's not helpful
to.
really.
No,
Yeah, but
well,
it
I
was
mean, it
just like
is.
that.
It
That's what.
shows. It shows how much drinking is a
Yeah,
part of it. Like, and I know what you mean.
it
I'd be
does.
playing,
Yeah,
I'd be playing with lads who were out at a wedding, say, for the whole weekend, and then they'd show up to a game, and
yeah.
you know, that bounce where you're like, they're about to just up their
Oh
guts.
no, yeah, that's too bad. Like there was like
Yeah,
when I was in first got to the senior club team in my school, it was like there was we had to do a like initiation sort of thing. We had to down a can of Budweiser,
yeah, it's real
like
gaseous.
in like a few seconds, and like and a few lads got sick, but I just like belched. Thank
Yeah.
God, I bet or
Oh.
gods, I belched and was like, oh, it's like that was such a relief, and I was like, but anyway, but I go back to the point. I love playing rugby, and I really miss it. And I think I'm a bit too old now to go back. But you never know in the next year or two if I sort myself out fitness wise that
For sure.
I might get back to it just
Yeah,
casually,
that's
like
it.
you know.
Well, like
Yeah.
even playing on, like, for me, playing on the J3 team for Gory was like that's
Oh
the
yeah.
level I'm at, And I kind of knew everybody was like, "Oh, you played really well." I was like, "I know, but my fitness just isn't enough. I can tell you that right now. I just want to play for a laugh because there was ambitions of getting somewhere when I was younger, but it was kind of, as you know yourself, like sport does become a challenge, doesn't it? When you're mentally ill, it's very hard to get yourself up and
Yeah.
out every single time for training. Like you're
Oh,
managing,
it's tough,
and it
yeah.
just takes one little thing to throw you off. And like, let's talk about the initiations and how diabolical they are. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
one
God.
now that we had to do a few, right. So there's one I got man the match in a game, like my first senior man the match for playing up in De La Salle, and they were all cheering me on, saying how well I played. My family were there watching. But then they were like, right, here's your punishment. So it's like dick of the day. It's someone who fucked up that day, and then it was the fella who got man of the match. I was like, that seems fair. And they just dropped the shot of Sambuca at the point of Guinness. And we're like, right, off you go, down it. And I was like, oh, this is about
Oh
to
my God.
repeat on me. That's not the worst
That
though.
is an absolute
Yeah,
that's carnage, like.
it is. But it gets
Because
better.
that's not the last drink you're having. Like it's gonna be
No,
more.
everyone's buying you around too because you got man in the match. Which like, let's
Oh,
be
I bet.
honest, that is great crack. It's a good laugh, but it does catch up to you when
Yeah,
you've got responsibilities. But the worst by far
yeah.
was rugby league when we were off in a big posh gaff in Sandymount, and then we were off in railway rugby club. Sorry guys, because this was messy. Um, all the lads had to do a kangaroo court, and then afterwards the punishment was Bailey's, Frank's hot sauce, and also tuna chunks. Everybody said it was like we managed the hot sauce and all the liquid, but once the tuna chunks hit the back of the throat, it was like it was disgusting.
That is one of the
Oh,
worst things. You didn't have to tell me that, man. I think you're like my mental health has just gotten worse after this. Like I'm gonna have flashbacks to this
believe
moment for
me,
the
I
rest of my
still
life.
do.
Oh,
It still
oh
drives me
God.
insane every time. It was fucking horrible. But like that, it's I didn't mind. I loved the socializing because I was such an anxious person. I was good at rugby, but I
Mm.
couldn't socialize afterwards. So having the rugby and the
Oh,
drink
that's I was the exact
afterwards,
same. Yeah,
yeah, it's like
but
now I'm
that's
bonding
exactly
with
the same.
people.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, but it is good. Like, I guess the one thing I regret, like you were saying, talking about regrets, I regret not going up to watch games if I wasn't mentally right. Just saying to the lads and being honest. Look, not feeling the best, but if I come up and just support the lads, would you mind not asking me when I'm playing? I'll come back and play when I'm ready, or I can play seconds or for the thirds team even, just to stay involved because it is
Yeah.
important. Even coaching at the minute is something I love doing. It's just like at least I'm involved, and the lads could do with someone just to help them out who's a bit more empathetic because you get a coach that just isn't. You've probably had them a lot yourself.
Oh yeah. Oh, the macho man, really the
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? There's like there has yeah, like, I was lucky enough in school that like we had like there was past pupils that mainly we had a few one or two coaches, like one was a teacher or another they brought in an actual coach for uh when we were in fourth to sixth year. Uh and but mainly I just remember fondly that in like second and third year, our coaches were former pupils, like as in
Mm.
past pupils, and they were great. Like, and we had a good team, and we lost to Black Rock in the first round, and it was the first televised game in the Junior Cup, as you can fucking imagine.
Yeah,
And it was like we held them for 20 minutes scoreless, grand, but then they scored a try, and then it was like 36-0 at the end. Oh, it was rough. Then we went out on the tear after I went to a junior disco or something, got drunk or whatever like that. Like, and it was just, oh
that's
my
it.
God.
Yeah. Those games though are
Just
great,
like,
aren't they?
yeah, it was just rough. But anyway, but yeah, back to it. Like, yeah, rugby, yeah, like I completely relate to the whole, like, I was a very socially, like, anxious person. Like, I was very, insecure, like, about a lot of things, but I turned to drink from a young enough age and like, from
Same.
15 from 14 to like 18, like it was like all the years of underage drinking were pretty grim, like in terms of like you get drunk off like an agony or something like that, of vodka, whatever you can get, like somebody to go
That's
into
it
the
though. You're
shop for you.
necking whatever thing you can,
But
whatever
then
you
the
can get
only
your
thing
hands
with
on.
but you had 3 hours before your parents had to pick you up. And it's like, how, and I got away with it once or twice, but I got caught out a few times and I got the silent treatment. I was like grounded for whatever amount of time. So, yeah, it was, no, I wouldn't recommend underage drinking. It's so,
No,
like, it doesn't do you any favors. Like,
no. But the thing is, like,
oh,
it's the thing to do, isn't it? Like when you're that age, it's like thing to do is to get served alcohol. You're going fishing, like you're getting lads
yeah,
to go into the shop for you, and then you find a goalpost somewhere and just start chilling with your mates. Those are things like that
yeah,
I think of fondly, but it's also like the rewarding signs there. Do you know what I mean? And I think we are Irish at
mm,
the end of the day, and we can't deny we have a huge drinking culture. And as much as we
we
might
do,
want
yeah.
to,
But
yeah,
we should like, but like that whole culture that doesn't involve, like, it should be eating while we're drinking.
yeah,
Like, like,
yeah,
like for example, like when I used to like hang around with a Lithuanian guy I was working with at the time, and he brought me to over to his house and was like that, and I bought a big bottle of vodka for all of us to share with him, his dad, and his uncle, and like this guy that I was hanging out with, like he he's the only one that could speak English because
right.
his dad was deaf. His dad is deaf. And then his uncle-in-law was Russian and like full of tattoos, like and all like that, like real tough looking
Russian
lad. Like
mafia.
wouldn't want to mess with him.
No,
Yeah, I didn't want to presume anything, so I just was very polite. But what happened was, so we had there's loads of like sauces and dips and bread and cured meats and just food in general, like but like really healthy, like whatever that. And then we're
yeah,
like doing shots each, and you go from one person to the next. So you finish your shot, the first person has their shot, down it, and oh no, yeah, downs it, and then they go to the next person. They pour the shot for the next person, and then they go Isve Kata, and that means cheers in Lithuanian apparently. And
nice.
and it goes around like the whole night. Like went through the whole. It was a liter bottle of vodka, and like went, and then I went to have a bottle of beer, which I brought with me, and the uncle like was no worried about. I was like, going, no, don't mix, and I was like, oh no, it'll be fine, remember that. But anyway, I had one or two.
No.
Woke up the next day, fresh as a daisy. I had no hangover, nothing.
Yeah.
That's the problem in Ireland. We just don't have that culture.
No, like I
Like
mean, even going out, it's like you go to the pre-drinks at somebody's house, then afterwards you go to a
yeah, yeah.
pub. You go to a pub and then you go to a nightclub. So three different things where you're just binging stuff, you know?
Oh, it's horrendous.
Yeah. I want to just because obviously like addiction would be more likely with someone with bipolar, but it was one thing that really interested me before we finish up, and that was like ways that bipolar people can be taken advantage of because we were talking about it before, and like when you're manic, you can be overly generous, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. 100%.
would people ever like ask you for money or know that Oisin's really generous or he's always got a few bob, or if we ask him for something,
Well,
he'll
I've
give us.
been lucky. I've been lucky that hasn't happened to me. But
Yeah,
I've heard of stuff like that. Like I've definitely heard of people manipulating and people who are very
yeah,
vulnerable in different situations. But I'm lucky. My friends and my family are very supportive in a lot of ways, and like throughout the years, they've been on the journey with me. Like just being there, supporting me whatever way they can. And I see it. I think I'm afraid that a lot of my friends don't feel like they can talk to me about serious stuff because they want to like trigger
yeah,
me. But it's like I could, like I'm talking to you, like I could talk about it, no problem. Like I have no issues. But it's just I feel that some of my friends are hesitant. I just get the feeling like that they're hesitant to bring it up. Or I have one or two that would say it's something to me like, "How are you doing?" or that, and I talk about it for a bit and whatever.
yeah,
Then mainly it's sort of like I don't know. Maybe it's because of being Irish and just I'm not like. But I don't think it's that actually, no, because I know my friends well enough at this point like that. But I think it's like, yeah, no one has taken advantage of me. Yeah,
well,
like instead of yeah, but like I think it's just yeah, you have to be very careful. Like, but obviously when you're manic, like you don't know what's going on really, like because someone could
yeah.
just be doing you in without even noticing it. Like so, yeah,
Exactly. Like it's everything, as you say, everything's great. There's no downside to everything. So it's like I'm taking the family on a holiday. Oh, the neighbor down the road, he might like a holiday too. He hasn't been away for a while. I'll pay for it because I've got money.
yeah,
I heard that example just used before when I was watching an Aware video. It was literally like saying someone will
mm,
think to themselves, and the judgment is just so clouded that they'll be like, let's bring the neighbors because we like them. Let's bring them on a holiday, not realizing I'll be bankrupt by the time I get home. Just that excessive
I'm right.
spending. Yeah, it's
Okay,
great to hear though, and I think it's a good way, good note just to end on the importance of family and friends. Because for anyone who doesn't know,
absolutely.
two of Oisin's brothers play for Dublin, Killian and Owen.
Why'd you have to bring that up? Now everyone's gonna go after my second name.
I remember just because I
Oh,
remember
this.
loving.
Am I famous now for being on this, Dan?
You were. I was just thinking it because I loved watching Owen playing because he was a big fella and he played full forward like me. Remember, he's like a rugby player, bashing
Yeah.
through people.
Oh yeah, he was very very good.
Strong
Killian's
fella.
very good as well. Yeah, they're great
Yeah,
great lads.
but
But
it shows kind of
but
that
yeah, man. Here,
macho sort of
thanks.
environment. Do you know what I mean? That you grew up in.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. But here, man. Thank you so much for having
No
me on.
worries.
I really enjoyed it,
Absolute pleasure.
and like to anyone watching like that, just keep subscribe to Dan's YouTube channel, and it's well worth it. He's got some serious good points to make about a host of different subjects.
Cheers,
So
Oisin.
yeah,
Been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
cheers, man.
First interview
You
now.
too. All right.
See you. Man.
See it. Bye bye.
Cheers.